Good afternoon, everybody, for this Matchday -1 press conference with the English coach, Gareth Southgate, and with Jordan Henderson, the player of England. As usual, please, before you give the question, mention what language and what media you are with, and then our translators back in Moscow have time to decide who will translate. Let's start the questioning with gentleman with the beard here, having the hand up there.
Thank you. The question will be in English. I think the pressure has been building up for England to win a World Cup. Now with the success of the U17 team and U20 team, has this pressure increased, and how are you dealing with it?
Sorry, I didn't hear all of the question.
Okay, sorry. Sebastián Coma from Tigo Sports Guatemala. The pressure for England to win a World Cup has been building up since a few years ago, since the last success. And now with the success of the U17 team and the U20 team in their competitions, has this pressure increased, and how are you dealing with it?
No, I think that always when you represent England, there's high expectation. The success of our junior teams has been fantastic for our country and for our young players especially. So that's brought a lot of excitement, and we of course have a young squad here as well. So no, that doesn't increase the pressure. It increases the optimism for the future, and they're really important experiences for our young players to have.
Okay, the gentleman second row here.
Hello, this is a question in English. I'm from Norwegian media VG. Jordan, congratulations with a good game in the first game. Several experts criticized the Liverpool players for not consoling the goalkeeper after the Champions League final on the pitch. Although you were saying positive things about him in the post-match interview. But what have you learned from that? And how do you motivate yourself from that experience here in the World Cup?
Well, yeah, it was a difficult night, obviously, but football moves quickly. You've got to move on and use the experience as best you can. So my focus quickly changed. Obviously, I had a few days to reflect, but then my focus quickly changed to the World Cup, to England. And yeah, you just got to use the experience as best you can.
Okay, then let's go over to the lady here in the middle.
Hi, Gareth. Natalie Perks, BBC News. Gareth, you've left nothing to chance in your build-up to this tournament, but you've chosen not to train in the stadiums. It's considerably hotter here than in Rapinoe. Is that a mistake? Is that something you perhaps could have done differently?
Well, we never train at the stadiums before any of our qualifiers. I think it's fairly typical for most of the teams when they play in the Champions League. Really, when I came to the FIFA workshop, they were quite keen for the teams not to train at the stadiums to protect the pitches. It makes sense for us to train earlier in the day, be able to recover and then travel. So really it's more around the flow of the day and getting our training done to leave maximum time for physical recovery before kick-off. We kick off at 3 tomorrow, so if we train tonight, there's less time between that session and the game. The heat is, of course, different in different parts of the country, and we just have to adapt to that. There's no physiological benefit to training in the heat for the couple of weeks before and thinking there'll be any adaptation. We've just got to cope with that, and I feel that it's important that we're a team that keep possession of the ball, and so in the heat, that will be key. The moments when we need to attack with the ball and the moments where maybe we rest with possession.
Gentlemen.
Hi, Jordan. Gabriel Clark, ITV. Good to see you. You won't have seen the game, I imagine, but Belgium 5, Tunisia 2. What's your reaction?
Obviously, a good game, a lot of goals. So I'm sure for the fan it was a very good game to watch. Obviously, we were flying, so we haven't got to see it yet, but very good result for Belgium. We'll go top of the group, but we've got to focus on ourselves and win our game tomorrow to go level with them.
Okay, let's go here. Yes.
Hi, Jordan. Rob Draper from the Mail on Sunday. Harry got taken down a couple of times in the penalty area, obviously against Tunisia. Do you like the idea of VAR watching you because it might get you a decision? Are you hoping that there's that obviously the referees are on it, and if that happens again, that you do get the decisions this time?
Yeah, well, I like it when it goes our way. So hopefully I like it tomorrow. Yeah, suppose it gives the referees a better chance of getting the correct decision. I seen against Brazil it came into good effect in terms of when Neymar, when he gave the penalty and then he went and changed his mind. I thought that was a good decision. So I think hopefully, yeah, it's fair, and both teams get the best of the system.
Okay, we are at the moment 5 minutes. Please, photographers, leave the room, so then we can continue immediately after with the press conference, and we head over to the lady, blonde lady here in front.
Hello, Gareth. I was speaking to the Panama fans about the team news potentially coming out early for England, and they said to me, there are no secrets with the England team because the Premier League is so famous. Is that a problem for you, that your players are so well known intricately around the world? And they also said the problem for you is you don't know Panama so well. And what do you know of Ismail Diaz, because they think he's destined for the Premier League?
Well, in terms of yeah, our players, of course, everybody is aware. They see a lot of them. We've done a lot of due diligence on Panama over the last few months, really. All of their qualifying matches, all of their matches since they qualified. So, you know, we don't expect too many surprises in terms of how they play and how they approach the game. They're an incredibly proud country. Their route to qualification was remarkable, really, to beat or to knock out the United States and to get through the group they did. So an incredible achievement. They'll be a bit wounded by what happened the other night, so they'll want to respond in the right way, and we know that will make it a tough game for us.
Gentleman just behind, yeah.
In English, I'm Carlos Justice from Telemundo Deportes in the US. For Gareth, this is your first experience as a coach at a major level internationally. How do you feel about coming into this big stage just like that? And for Jordan, how do you see the level of CONCACAF, of the North American Confederation, where you're playing Panama, there's other teams like Mexico, Costa Rica. What's your approach to those teams?
Yeah. Okay. Look, for me, it's a great honour to lead my country. I'm a very proud Englishman, and to have the honour of playing in a World Cup, but then managing in a World Cup is very, very special. So that's probably why I got a bit carried away when we scored the other night. But it means a lot to me. So. But the key is the team. You know, it's not about my personal experience. It's about preparing the team in the best way possible and making sure that we control the things we can control. And that's what we've got to do ahead of the game tomorrow. Focus on our performance. We were really pleased with our performance in the first game. It took us a while to get the winning goal. But I said after the game, no matter if it had been a draw, I would have been very pleased with the general performance. So. That's something we want to build on. We've hit a level of consistency over the last 6 or 7 matches, which means we're heading in a direction of improvement, and that's what we've got to look for.
Okay, gentleman here, second row. Yeah.
Buena tarde en español para el marcador en Panamá y RPC. Okay. Viendo la estadística del partido de Panamá contra Bélgica, Gabriel Gómez completó el 100% de los pases. En el número de estadísticas fueron 46 de 46. Es un jugador que, como usted ha dicho, ha estudiado a Panamá en la eliminatoria. Gabriel Gómez es un jugador que, si no está en la cancha, pareciera que Panamá no funcionase. ¿Habrá un trabajo en particular con ese jugador en la formación del profesor Bolillo? marcará
official
Gabriel
with
o se le
respect to Gabriel,
dejará jugar el día de
or
mañana?
will you leave him to play freely in tomorrow's match?
Yeah, I think the way we always prepare the team is we look at the shape of the opposition, their principles of play, their general tactical approach. We might pick out one or two individual qualities of players, but we tend not to focus on specifics of individuals too much. Whoever we play against was the same when we played Brazil and Germany. So the important thing is that the players have an idea of our system, where the gaps are that we can exploit in the opposition system, where the threats will come from the opposition. And we will touch on little individual things on a small level if we think that's of help to the specific players that are playing against them. But generally, we focus more generally on the team.
Okay, here in front.
Gareth, Harry's obviously had a great start to the tournament, but there's been concern about a lack of goals throughout this team, a lack of international goals, certainly, from players who do score a lot at club level. How much of a concern is that? What can you do? Is it a confidence issue?
Oh, really, it's a young team, and we're trying to get a forward line that are exciting in their movement and have scored goals at club level. You know, in the end, that will come if they keep getting in the right areas and they keep making the right runs, and we create the types of chances we did the other night. Then we're very confident the goals will come. We're fortunate that we have an outstanding goal scorer as a number 9. We also have people like Vardy, who's got an exceptional goal record in high-level matches as well. Danny Welbeck, you know, a lot of goals. So we've got good options. Of course, you ideally want the goals shared around, but frankly, when you get to a tournament, it doesn't matter who scores them, and it's probably good for us that Harry's got a couple because we're not having to answer questions about him not having scored in the tournament as well.
Okay, the lady here, over there.
En español.
Question in Spanish.
France Press.
Fleitas from France Press.
Coach, hoy
I have a
el
question for the
entrenador
coach.
de Panamá dijo que este mundial estaba
Today, Panama's coach said that
muy
this
bien para
World
los
Cup,
europeos, que los sudamericanos están en problemas en
favored
Rusia.
European sides and the
Consultarle
South
qué
American
piensa de
sides were
eso.
having a
Y
hard time in
segundo,
Russia. What do you
en los
think
últimos
about
tiempos
that?
se ha visto
And secondly,
mucho algunos jugadores ingleses tomando mate.
recently we've seen a
Está
lot of
teniendo
English players
competencia el té.
drinking mate. So is British tea having to live with this stiff competition?
So I think it's always difficult for teams from a different continent to win World Cups. History tells us that until Germany went to Brazil, it was very difficult for European teams going to South America, and really only, of course, Brazil winning in Japan. Somebody different was going to win in that continent. So that's history, but you're always looking to defeat history and change history. There's no reason why you can't do that in any way. The mate I've only experienced with Maurizio at Tottenham, who of course drinks it a lot with his staff. So he's not included me because I'm not in the inner circle. But I know some of the guys have been drinking it. But we also have a lot of Yorkshire tea drinkers in our squad. So. Hopefully somebody will explain the importance of that to you. Yeah, we're obviously English, so we're big tea drinkers, although I'm not personally.
Okay, gentleman here, the blue shirt.
Hi, obviously in English. Rob Harris from Associated Press. Gareth, have you sought to get any clarity from FIFA, from the referees, over how and when VAR might have been used the other night with those incidents, particularly with Harry in the penalty area, you know, with confusion about just whether or not it was consulted or how that's the case? And to Jordan, just is there anything being done in particular in training to cope with the heat here? Obviously, it's pretty hot here during the day at the moment.
Well, yeah, I think basics really, just make sure hydration's the most important thing when it's this hot and humid. Plenty of fluids on board before, during, and obviously after the game. So I think that's probably the most key thing in the match.
On the VAR, Dan has had correspondence with the referees, head of the referees. So we're very comfortable with the responses we had. My own view is that I think most things that have been referred to the VAR have ended up with the correct decisions. So I suppose there's always this element of which bits are going to be referred and which bits aren't that seems to be open to interpretation. But it really isn't something we can control. We've just got to accept whatever decisions are given by the referee on the field or the VAR officials. It's a bit of a different dynamic for everybody, but we've got to abide by whatever decisions are given and make sure we keep focused, which was what pleased me the other night. What penalty went against us, but our response was good. We kept our discipline, we kept our focus on the game, and that's what we've got to make sure we do. Well, no, there was emails that were exchanged, and Dan asked for some clarity, but that's and we were happy with the responses. So, but no big issues really.
Can I ask you, if you don't have the microphone, our translators cannot translate the questions, so please either take the microphone back again or stop it. The gentleman here in the second row.
Hello, good evening. Amol Gokhale, Sakal Times India, and the question is in English. So I saw other reports regarding whatever media published about the picture. What do you think about the role of media in such a big tournament, about publishing a document, or how much does that affect the team?
Yeah, I made quite a balanced observation yesterday, which is, I'm told, has gathered quite a bit of momentum. So I should explain. My view is that totally understand the media have a role to report the news. My only observation, which I probably haven't worded properly, is that it's definitely advantage for us or for the opposition if you know the tactics of the other team. So that was the only question I was asking. From our point of view, I don't expect the media to be supporters of us in terms of the way they work. They're here to work. I know they want us to do well. That's been clear right throughout the tournament. I'm really relaxed about last week the team came out 3 days before the game. I don't think I said anything about it because I understand it's something we can't control, and that's part of being in a tournament and part of being involved with a big team. So I'm completely, there's no drama for me about it. The picture the other day wasn't even the team, so even less of a drama because it was just the front sheet. And on the front sheet of our training is always the runners and riders for training, those that are injured, what the practices will be, and then behind that all the changes that we will make during the training sessions. So I'm totally relaxed. I understand a few of the guys have had a bit of a bashing on social media, so I apologise for that because I don't wish that on anybody because I've experienced it myself. But nothing that happens, or if anything is released, changes the way we want to work with our media team. We've been very open. We haven't been open because we expect something in return. We've been open because we feel it's a better experience for everybody. We feel the players are getting their stories and messages to the supporters. And the whole environment's been really positive around the team. And I think we've all enjoyed that. We all know that everybody's away for months, weeks, that, for all of us, players, staff, journalists, that's a difficult environment to be in because the guys have to find stories, they've got to produce content, we've got to get results, but we're all living in a slightly false thing, a bit like when you go on holiday with your family where, after you've been away for a while, you're a little bit sick of certain people and less so of others. So that sort of social dynamic exists, is probably a fascinating social study for all of us to compare notes at the end. But so no, my only point was, I think everybody would agree, if the opposition have your team in any sport, that is a competitive advantage. But it's not the job of the media to protect that. I accept that completely. And as I say, the other day was a list of 23 players. People have taken something from that, which probably isn't correct, but that's it for me. No drama.
Okay, over here to the left.
Gareth, hi. The Tunisia game, Delhi obviously picked up a knock and played on with it because he felt he could. But have you said to the players at all about being careful about coming off if they need to come off? Because you hope it's going to be a long tournament. You don't want anyone to pick up anything serious. And Jordan, as players, are you aware of the need to, even though you want to play so much in big World Cup games, that sometimes you'd have to put the team first?
Yeah, there's, I guess, two parts to that. One is performance aspect. So is an injury going to inhibit your level of performance, which is key for the team. It's always really difficult for a player. Most players are very aware physiologically of their body, and they'll know the things they feel they can play on with. For certain, we're no further behind with Delhi's recovery from when he felt the injury initially and where we are with it now. So we've not lost any time in that instance. Now that's not through design, that's a little bit of luck. But also him understanding that it wasn't something more serious. So, we've been very fortunate, but also I think prepared well in that it's the first muscular issue we've had across the 3.5 weeks. So to be at this stage with 22 players available is unlikely to have happened. We're pleased with that situation. I'm sure that's not going to continue because we'll get contact injuries and other things as the tournament progresses. But I certainly as a manager don't take a risk with a player if we think he's a risk for the game, because I think the performance aspect comes into it. But players aren't always going to tell you exactly 100% how they are, because I've been a player, and when it's a big game, there's a danger that you're a little more economical with the truth. So, sometimes we have to take those decisions for them.
Okay, we got 3 more questions. Oh, you want? Sorry, Jordan.
Yeah, similar to what Agaffa said, really. I think as a player when an injury is bad enough that you need to come off. I'm probably one of the worst, actually, that I don't want to see anything and I want to try and battle through. But at the same time, if it's affecting performance, I'm sure the manager and the staff will be able to see. So, yeah, I think you've got to be careful and just knowing your own body in terms of when it's serious enough to maybe put your hand up and come off. But that's easier said than done.
Normally what happens is Hendo plays through, and then I get a really noisy call from Jürgen to say, why the hell didn't you take him off? So that's kind of the way it works, really.
Okay, the gentleman in the back. 3 last ones.
Артем Калинин, Спорт24, вопрос на русском языке.
Sports24, a question in Russian. A question in Russian.
И Гаррету, и Джордану.
A question to both of you.
Не обидно ли вам,
Don't you feel bad that there are too few English fans on the stands? We see a lot of them walking down the streets and they have a lot of pleasure on the streets of Moscow, but could it be the result of the propaganda that was evolving on the eve of the World Cup?
I'll take that. No, look, I think there's obviously been a lot going on away from football in the lead into the World Cup, but we can only speak of our own experiences. I was here last year for the Confederations Cup. It was a brilliantly organised event. I think everybody would say that everything from training grounds to hotels to travel here has been incredibly well organised. Stadiums are brilliant. It's quite expensive for our fans to come to travel to the tournament. To follow the team is always very expensive, and of course there's flights here, internal flights. So we're really appreciative of the supporters that have come to support us. And even though in other tournaments maybe we've had more numbers, the vocal support of our fans the other night was brilliant. Really gave the team a huge lift. So I know we have similar numbers tomorrow. And I think even more in Kaliningrad as well. So that is always a huge lift to us, and we'll look forward to. We're desperate to repay them with the performance like we gave the other night.
You want to say anything, John? No. Okay, then, gentlemen here, second last.
Thank you, Dan Rowan, BBC. Gareth, how big a threat do you think Panama represents? Are you braced for a physical battle tomorrow? And you now know that if you win, you'll be in the last 16 of the World Cup. Do you use that as motivation and remind your players of that and use it, or do you put that to one side and not get too carried away and forward thinking?
Yeah, I think every team in the tournament, we've seen already that the difficulty big countries in terms of rankings have had in breaking down lower ranked teams. That's been a theme right the way throughout. So there's no way there's any complacency in the way that we've prepared for the game. The situation in the group is obviously is a healthy one for us, but we've got to focus on our performance. And I always talk to the players about what are the things we can control. We control our preparation, we control how we want to attack the game. We still want to play in the style that we came into this tournament. Nothing's changed in my view. We're a team who are hungry. We want to improve. We want to show people that an England team can play in a different way. We've got technically good players. We want them to get on the ball and express themselves and really attack the game as we did from the opening minutes of the game the other night. So equally, we've got to play with intelligence and keep improving all the way through. So they're the things that are important ahead of tomorrow's game.
Okay, last one. Gentleman at the back there.
English. Good afternoon. Question for manager Mr. Southgate. And I'm not sure if you know that in China we have a word to describe England team is happy football. But unfortunately to tell you that this is not a good word because it is used to describe those unfortunate and even a little bit hilarious and ridiculous mistakes and misses made by England players, especially like Sterling. And I would like to know if you have ever done something to calm your players down, and do you think if your players is a little bit anxious and nervous? Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think in your description of happy football, I'm probably one of the most guilty people of a happy football experience. So, we have decades of those incidents. Look, this team, history is not the important thing for this team. They have an opportunity to create their own history. And they should be excited about that. They're a young team who are going to get better and better. I really enjoy working with all of them. And I'm intrigued to see how far they can go and how well they can play, because I think we saw moments of that the other night. And we've got to continue that and keep pushing and driving to be as good as we can be. So I hope we give you a different sort of happy football over the next few weeks.
Thank you, Gareth Southgate.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan Henderson. Thank you all.